Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm your host, Susan Routledge, and today is an awesome episode, which we are going to break down into two, actually. And I could literally talk to this lady all day. I have a very, very special guest, and that is Lara Morgan. Lara, I first came across in the news, really, when she had grown a company, Pacific Direct, from just her to a 20 million global company and sold out in 2008. Mm-hmm. And then since then, I've sort of kept a track of what you've done. And Lara, what she does is invest in a lot of entrepreneurship and global, and UK brands.
Yeah.
Now, the second episode that we're going to do, we are going to touch more on change and wellness and touching around mental health and different issues. First of all, welcome, Lara.
Thank you.
Beyond excited to have you as a guest.
Thank you.
And so can I, first of all, ask you about your journey, where it all began? Because, I mean...
childhood, average, not really. I was very lucky. So born in Germany to military parents, but immediately posted out to Hong Kong where my dad was still in the military, but started to dip into what he was going to do for the rest of his life because, frankly, he only joined the army to play sports, that I know.
Right, okay.
But my mum already was... a very good teacher of English. And so when she was out in Hong Kong, she already set up her own small company teaching English. And my dad left the army, trained at International Computers, set up his own business. So we were in an enterprise household from, when I can remember. And had very active parents, wonderful weather. And those experiences of playing everything, swimming everywhere, access to a very culturally rich Asian environment.
Yeah.
When my dad worked for ICL meant that we, led a charmed life. But a classic expatriate child at about 11 was sent away to boarding school. So I commuted to Scotland, as you do. And I laugh because, kind of look back and go, today, the idea of sticking an 11-year-old in an aeroplane and saying, hold your brother's hand, who's a couple of years older than you, not even, and get to Scotland on literally plane, which would stop in New Delhi, which I was in week before last, and then Rome because it couldn't make the flight, and it was 24 hours on the aeroplane and then 2 stopping places. I flew back from China 2 days ago in 14 hours. It's, crazy how the world's changed. But I, went to a fantastic school, had a great education. My father went bankrupt. And that was the beginning of get a job at the age of 18 and start paying rent 2 weeks after leaving a very good private school, which in the end I got a bursary at, or else I would have been kicked out because my parents couldn't afford it. And that's where you kind of start budgeting with your £5 either side of half term. That doesn't go very far. And people will be laughing. They'll be going, what do you mean? But, that's where I was starting to try and make my own money to supplement my pocket money.
And do you think did your father and his entrepreneurship have a big influence on you, or
I think the hard work did. And my dad was a mathematician by trade, so the joy of learning maths in a car by him making up ridiculous scenarios of a fruit and vegetable stand. I'll have 1,172 bananas and I'll, minus X many oranges, and that's how I learned my maths. So I was very quick-minded. But actually, I also think there is no question that my mother was of equal enterprise and probably, if I'm honest, I think more of an inspiration because she juggled, like many mums do, the sanity and the food on the table and the household and teaching English and getting us to school in the right uniform at the right time, which I've, done deeply averagely. So when I then started out on my own journey, having been away for a year from my parents, I very quickly gravitated to the independence that I'd had at boarding school, because for that prior year, I'd not seen my parents. We hadn't had the money to fly back and forward. And luckily enough, had grandparents in Scotland who were deeply boring. So I had to do some exam work, but fantastic, bolt hole.
Yeah.
Started selling promotional giveaways in Hong Kong because I had to pay rent to my parents because they just had the, is it the bursars that come, the...
bailiffs.
Yeah, bailiffs came in. So that was an experience I never really unpacked from boarding school. And then I started my own company when I was 23 because needs must, and it was a 1991 recession, and I didn't even know what that was. I didn't, there was no understanding of business, but I'd sold some promotional giveaways in Asia, and I'd fallen in love with someone, worked in the Middle East, was engaged to be married, was selling Yellow Pages advertising space, and then he got a job he got a position at Cranfield to do an MBA, and we came back to UK. And this expat brat suddenly learns in cold Cranfield, living in a cottage, going, what am I going to do with my life? There are no jobs.
Yeah.
So I started my first company, Pacific Direct.
And where did that idea come from then? Was it just... did you just wake up one morning and think,
no, I didn't wake
up
one morning and sell sewing kits and shower caps? That's a great... No, my dad's friends in Hong Kong who had an investment in the promotional agency where I'd been top salesperson. I liked selling. I found it competitive. I wasn't embarrassed by it. I saw it as a challenge. They had bought genuinely a factory in China that made shoe mitts, shower caps, and not even soaps, shampoos. And they'd said to me, do you fancy having a go at selling these to hotels in England? And the brightest, luckiest thing I did is I registered the company in my name. Yeah. 99% shares of mine, 1% from my mum because she lent me money to buy a car. Probably the best return on investment you could ever get. And I started Pacific Manufacturing, which was another stupid idea because I then hadn't checked and done my due diligence around registered names. And I got a call saying, you can't call it Pacific Manufacturing. There's a steel company that does that. And I'm like, what am I going to call it? My brother goes, you're direct little shit. Why don't you call it Pacific Direct? Because you're selling goods across the ocean. And so no brand intelligence, no marketing, not a clue about what I was going to do. And I went to the Dorchester and showed them a pre-threaded sewing kit, which I had no respect for because I had decent sight. And I was laughing this morning because I was in a shower thinking, shit, I can't even read the shampoo name. And now I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
The genius.
Right. So big letters count, right? And genius pre-threaded sewing kits change lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that...
Because you were the first one who brought those out, weren't you?
Pre-threaded, yes. But I mean, I was lucky enough to see them in a Chinese factory and thought they were a good idea. That was the height of my... practical, down-to-earth common sense, thinking my mum would like that.
Yeah.
And, and sell what you know is going to work and make someone's life easier.
So what made you think about going to the Dorchester first? Because most
My grandmother.
I was going to say, because most people, if you
strategic advisor. Yeah, my strategic advisor, 93-year-old granny, said, darling, you're going to starve. You're selling rubbish. But at least the Dorchester will give you a free coffee and an orange juice. She genuinely never was going to back my idea. And I went to the Dorchester and I met a guy called Kevin Roberts. And he said, well, look, we're refurbing at the moment. And I said, okay, so what does that mean? And he said, well, I won't need them for X many months. And I was thinking, thank Christ for that, because it takes 3 months to make them. And he said, you'll have a warehouse, won't you? And I lied. And I said, yes. And he said, and I'll call them off on a monthly basis. I'll expect them next day. And I delivered them in Gertrude, my 1.1 Fiesta, just before the fish man came in at 6:45 to the back of the Dorchester. And then I did appointments in London. And the sewing kits, the other 9,000, because they came in boxes of 1,000 at 19.2p each, were the resting place for my fax machine and my other stuff in my warehouse, which was my office in a 1-bedroom flat in Cranfield.
I love that.
But it's, that's business.
How fast did that business grow then?
Ridiculously. And I was so lucky. I sold 108,000 in my first year, 360 in my second as a one-man band. And I was literally typing invoices at weekends with the names and addresses of all the hotels in London known off by heart, because those, it was quicker. Yeah. So I can tell you, for example, the Dorchester's phone number is 0207 629 8888, or the Jumeirah, which was the Hyatt, 0207 629 1234, because it was quicker to know those things than looking up in a Rolodex. And people are going, what's a Rolodex? I'm going, that's how 1991, right?
Yeah. This is.
And I had no idea. But Granny's strategic advice was, and it's a brilliant share, which is, and we had go for the big brand, go for the name drop, go for the door opener. Yeah. Because once you're supplying the Dorchester, there's nobody that says no. And you go, I do this pre-threaded sewing kit for the Dorchester. And they go, what else do you do? So what a gift and what luck.
Yeah. Did you get a coffee and an orange juice?
Yeah, I got a coffee and an orange juice as well. And actually, I am deeply grateful to the Dorchester to this day.
So how long was it just you with that business?
2 years on my own, working morning, noon and night, getting to 360K, not really having a clue, and no digital, no website. And basically, calling up people and being rejected. So the resilience card and that bit. So to give you an idea, I set myself a target that I couldn't make myself a coffee or a hot drink unless I'd done 100 phone calls.
100 phone calls?
Yeah. 100 tried to ring people and been rejected. Then I got a coffee.
In what period of time?
Well, first thing, from the time I started.
I wouldn't be having a coffee for a month.
Right, and I've seen you with coffee this morning, Susan. So genuinely, I would arrive, and from the moment I started the day, I would count on these gate posts. I would write 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put a line across. That was 5. And I needed 20 of those, 20 of different calls, and hopefully leaving messages or hopefully having a conversation to make an appointment. Because seeing somebody is how you sell somebody, building a relationship and caring and understanding about their business. Yeah. It's not about
it is the personal touch. Like even now, it is the personal touch that builds business.
This idea that we can sell by email still escapes me.
Yeah. So out of the 100, what percentage?
Oh, probably 2 appointments if I was lucky.
That is determination.
But equally, you can't build a business without speaking to people, and you were always learning on the way.
Yeah.
And, I was, gradually getting better, and the odds would get higher, and then somebody would go, oh, I've left the Dorchester and I'm now at so-and-so and we'd like pre-thread. So, you make your luck by turning up. Yeah. And, today that resilience card hasn't gone away. I remember, for the record, I did 792 outreaches to Forte hotels before they spoke to me.
Wow.
And I know that because I had a score. I'm that childish.
Wow. But it was worth it.
Yeah, and so actually I think it's a card that people forget.
Yeah, because I think this is the thing, isn't it? People get this close to breaking through in business, but then give up before.
But actually they don't even get that close sometimes, Today it takes 14 kinds of touches, outreaches and investment, which means also because of our shorter attention span, and we used to say 7 times, but to build a relationship with a customer, imagine they're coming in and out of your hair salon or whatever. If you literally know that until you've built loyalty, you have to have 14 interventions, 14 service touches, 14 positive moments in order to build that relationship. But actually the payback is forever.
But as well, I think there's a big lesson here as well, because I think people, now that we have got social media, we've got emails, we've got all of these different things, people hide behind them and they'll say, oh, well, I tried emailing and, we've done some social media. It's still not the same as speaking to someone and physically having a conversation, but people hide behind all of that and
and companies hide because they've reduced staff cost and overhead by reducing teams that visit customers, and that can be good and bad. But I don't think the education of a product is selling as well. I don't think people are getting necessarily the best in class within their industry if somebody isn't communicating. And events don't entirely replace that, because that can be a short, introduction intervention. And don't get me wrong, demonstrations can be vital depending on the product you're selling. But I believe in turning up to events. I mean, today I still stand at my weekends on the Kitbrick stand selling my wares because I want to hear what the customer's saying.
Yeah.
And I want to get feedback about our product. And when we're doing Centred at Top Drawer, or we're doing exhibitions on customized merchandise, I cannot tell you how priceless what the customer tells you is for any product brand. And I'm a product person.
Yeah. And this is another thing though as well, because I know, in most of the beauty businesses I work with, you're getting reviews and feedback all the time. But there's this thing why they only concentrate on the negative. Like, get a 1-star review and like on it.
Yeah,
like,
but you
like
can't
someone gives
keep-
you great feedback and no response whatsoever, no thank you, no nothing. But someone gives a 1-star or a lower one, they're on it straight away, and you just like think.
Actually, I think some people are really unreasonable and don't think through the commercial damage they do. You know, I was taught, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it. And you know, I can talk about the pennies and looking after the pounds, and if at first you don't succeed and your audience is probably going, where does this nutcase come from? This nutcase comes from a grounding of, you know, I think those values are very important and life improving if you apply them.
But this is what I love about you, because all the way through your journey, you are just so approachable and like in
I try.
So
it's not
many
easy.
Conversations and are so given, and that doesn't happen a great deal.
But I'm in a privileged position, right? So I am now 50, or I'll be 58 next week, and I sold my first company 17 years ago, nearly 18 years ago, and I sold it for a life-changing sum. And I owned 99% of that life-changing sum. Yeah. So it wasn't just a number in the ether. It was, I banked a lot of money. That puts you in I think, first of all, a deeply privileged position, but most importantly, in a position where you have the rest of your life to give back. And you've had this, I feel, I've had an extraordinary journey. Don't get me wrong, I've worked my backside off, and I've tried to do the right thing. I'm by no means perfect. And my father always said that there is no such thing, except for him, of course. But anyway, you know, the laughability of actually staying grounded. And I was brought up by an amazing teacher who impacted me and said, the more you put into life, the more you get out. And it is so true. So I'm a manipulative bitch from hell that actually has worked out that the more I put into life, I laugh lots more. I have better exchanges with people. You know, this morning in the coffee shop, the lady at Starbucks, genuinely, before you arrived, she said, I never deliver toast to people, but she said, you were so nice. You know, and it's like, I'm sure I get more because I'm just approachable and reasonable, and hopefully, and I fundamentally believe that you give one and get one, meaning, that, you know, a bit of exchange, and that's how the world goes round, and we need more kindness. Yeah. So I back that.
Absolutely, totally. Right. Can we just go back to Pacific Direct?
Yeah.
And like in entrepreneurship, as in, did you, obviously you built this company from
zero,
Dorchester, and then it was airlines and 110 companies, countries, sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm the idiot that didn't even write a business plan. It took me 9 years to write a plan.
This is what I wanted to ask you about.
But, and actually now, you know, I still sit in the sinful position where sometimes the plan is in my head, but I haven't quite written it down. I will be writing one down this week because I've just acquired some shares in a company. But my gut feel is the bit that I hope to hang on, even though I'm a dodgy old witch these days, because the gut is the bit. That's the point of difference. No, and you know when you ignore it and it becomes wrong. So Pacific was just the pursuit of trying to be better and different.
Did you because I always envision what I want, and
visual is everything, right?
Did you envision growing it to
not
that
a
size?
Scooby-Doo? And I think you'd have to be unhinged or just maybe a lot more educated to have the brains to have a proper growth plan. How lucky was I that I was 23 and had no business training until I was 31 and went to Cranfield to get a proper education, write a business plan, and come out and go, holy shit, you're not doing too badly. But here's the irony. It took me 9 years to get to a 4.5 million turnover, making £664,000 profit. It took me 8 years with a business plan thereafter to make 3.3 million EBITDA. That would suggest to your audience that writing the plan was a good idea, because the metrics and the measured returns of having a proper focused plan, and focus is the illness of every entrepreneur, because we want to go to the next shiny thing, and now I break all those rules because I've got the money to break the rules, and actually I've got that wrong too. But the Pacific thing was a very, first of all, organic process, I guess, at the beginning of just do your best. Yeah. Just keep innovating. And then we got to the business plan and we went, oh my God, were doing so much wrong. We had to kind of sack 54% of the customers because we were just radically stupid doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star. We got focused on brand licensing. I manufactured for Bulgarian, Penhaligon's, the White Company, Aveda, Elemis, Emenegildo, Xenia, you name it. The only one not, Molton Brown. I built the strategy called the Brand Boutique, which gave hotels the choice to put a miniature hotel toiletry, shampoo, shower gel in their rooms. And I got it because I was just trying to be better than Molton Brown, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
You know, just have better brands, have a better premium positioning, have more variety to enable me to sell to more of the hotels. And then, of course, you go from, you know, a singular boutique hotel, and the idiot in me tried to sell to the first everybody. What an idiot. But actually, if you stay focused and you become the expert in your field and you specialize in, let's say, luxury, where clearly the margin is higher and there's money to be spent, then you can indulge in creativity, which is what I loved. So we evolved and developed around that.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. And this is what I teach is, you know, be the expert in something. You can't be something to everyone.
What's your niche?
Yeah.
What's your niche?
Yeah, exactly. And be known for that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just end up being a busy fool.
How do you make your point of difference?
Exactly.
And actually, you can't be all things to all men.
Yeah.
And your point about customer service, I mean, we work our backsides off to give world-class service. Do we get it right all of the time? No. Is it sometimes not even our fault? It's the delivery system. But we will put up our hands, apologise. We will bend over backwards to sort out a problem, because once you've made the promise on that service level, and in the same way, you know, I think, and here's a passing thought that's just gone through my tiny little head. Why is every hairdresser designed in a way where you face the mirror and you face the wall, right? I was in the Middle East recently getting my nails done with my youngest daughter, and they've built these pods where a group of people can sit facing each other and have a gossip. And I just thought, I mean, how simple is that? And so I'm also, I think, like you, seeing stuff and going, let's just challenge the norm, the better and different.
Yeah, that is. I mean, because it is, like, you know, the beauty industry, the hair industry, it's social. People come.
Right, and more so now than ever. You know, and actually you see people and they come into the nail place and they get their phones, and actually I'll guarantee you, some of them don't want to be on their phones, but they don't want to look as if nobody wants them. How sad is that? So, you know, strike up a conversation with a stranger. It's fun I have at meeting people and exchanging words and laughing a bit. It's just flipping terrific.
Like it amazes me. You'll see people sitting around a table.
A meal,
and they'll be
all
on their
four members of
phones.
the family on the phone. Bonkers. Let's not go there because it's horrendous. But that's why we in our home have, we call mobile phones weapons. And the kids are not allowed weapons in the kitchen or at the table, or, you know, that's a social environment. The answer is, I'll chuck it in the pond.
Yeah. But the amount of time that gets spent in it, you just go down a rabbit hole with it all and things. It's just, so you then sold the company.
By luck as well, because I failed to sell it in 2004, and that's a good exit experience journey. But, you know, for a completely unrelated matter, de Menezes got shot on the tube. The pension money that was going to pay me 11.2 million said, sorry, we don't like what's happening in London. It's a dangerous place and you supply hotels in London. How tangential that I was a global business. And they decided not to fund the deal. So I cried a lot, thinking I made my money at 11.2 million, and 3.5 years later I sold for 20.
Yeah.
So how lucky am
Everything
I? Sorry to Mr. de Menezes, but...
What made you decide to sell then? Because it was going so well. You'd grown it.
Very honestly, I have 3 amazing women, children, were my children. They are now young women. My daughter said to me at the age of 6, why are you never in the playground?
Yeah. Yeah, that hits home, doesn't it?
Actually, I went to the playground one day, which was very rare. And a lady turned to me and she said, oh, are you picking up Kate's children? Kate was the nanny. That hurt.
Yeah.
And I get it, right? And so but would I change what I've done? Would I change the freedom of traveling Would I change the experiences of being in 110 places? Would I change the taste of countries I've visited to, privileges I've had, travel that I've experienced, sights that I've seen?
Yeah.
Not for 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hasn't all gone right.
And the thing is as well, it's juggling that, isn't it? It's like they're creating the lifestyle to do that.
Yep.
And with your family, opposed to... So before you sold the company, had you got to the point where you could step out of it?
I was. I mean, without any doubt. I mean, from 2003... knowing that I wanted to exit, was working towards exit. And, I had a good management team, and you can't sell without a decent management team. And you can't, what's the point of, no disrespect to them, but what's the point of hiring a dog and, barking? Yeah. Right. So I used to say to them, when I'm on holiday, I switch off, which means, and genuinely, I still do this today. I mean, I've just cycled 500 miles across India, haven't looked at my emails, haven't responded to anything. And I didn't even put an out of office on because I'm not that important. But, I own a number of and have invested in a number of businesses because I back teams of people that I trust. And if I can't trust them enough that they're paid a lot of money and I go on holiday and I can't really switch off and recover myself, what sort of hypocrite am I? Yeah. And by the way, it's bloody difficult to phone someone when you're cycling across India covered in shit.
I've done it.
So, but I mean, and do I want to be?
Yeah.
It's just mad, right? And actually, how can I grow them if they're not going to deal with some of the challenges that come their way? And so this trust thing for me is really a pillar of success in growth. And this is where women are very bad, right? They have to do it all themselves, including sweeping up and God knows what.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's a distraction tactic as well to
procrastination.
To just do things that someone else could quite easily be doing, rather than focus on the big things. And I was saying this,
but it's
the hardest thing I find is getting someone to tell you what they do want. They can tell you what they don't want, and all the other things that they need to be doing that they don't need to be doing, but focusing on where they need to be. And I'm not quite sure where that.
What was your favourite saying, Susan?
Oh, if you think you can or you think you can't,
you're right.
Yeah.
Right. So working on your business versus working in your business is critical. And Dale Carnegie's sayings, what's the worst thing that can happen, have driven me in my life. Those are the motivators that go, well, your dad went bankrupt and you didn't die, right? You paid rent bloody early at the age 18 and you were pretty angry. But I'd already had the privilege of my independent education. And that was a gift. Yeah. And now, of course, I can reflect that maybe that was the luckiest thing that happened because I had to go and start budgeting and paying my way. Now, I've got ill-disciplined over the years, and also I've, overstretched myself because I'm the addict entrepreneur, and we are that way. But I do know that you have to know your numbers. You have to know your run rate.
So the addict entrepreneur, was that in you before?
Who knows?
Your father went bankrupt. Do you think it was always
entrepreneurs born or made kind of thing? Are salespeople born or made?
Yeah. Could you ever envisaged having a job and just...
No, I don't think. So there was never this,
always there.
This active, sporty, I guess, competitive, horribly competitive I am, to the point where I laugh at myself regularly about my stupidity and my intention to stay young, very young for a very long time. And I even work on longevity in a meaningful, planned way. Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's a certain amount, and I studied what's going on at Harvard and understanding about longevity and, that environmental upbringing, the influences around you versus what's in your genome, that the gap of, we used to be saying you are your DNA, that's just bloody rubbish, right? There's just a minute amount of you. And then it's about the environment you live in, the people that influence you. So that, thing about surround yourself by brilliant people. But equally, you need to surround yourself by people that are going to support you. Without my husband, there is no way that Pacific Direct would have been successful because he was the operational sweeper-upper of all of Lara's chaos. Right. But I would make promises and of course I never lied because there's no point lying. That's not going to get you anywhere. But you might stretch the truth. I remember, being asked if I had a warehouse in South America. And I said that, warehouses, there's lots of warehouses in South America. Of course, one could be mine, but I didn't say that. I gave the impression, went home that night and said to Charlie, we really need a warehouse in South America to do this X piece of business. I laugh at my cheek.
Yeah.
But actually, because I had that global upbringing and I see warehouses as boxes, how difficult can it be to put a box in a box?
Yeah.
Right? So, it exists.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just sparked the idea that you need it.
Yeah. And therefore I sold and we managed and and the privilege of that export, we had 11 offices, 2 factories, 1 in China and 1 in the Czech Republic, also quite a challenge, a joint venture in Egypt. I say that out loud by the age of 39. I mean, what did I think I was doing? And the answer is doing the right thing and delivering a world-class service to a promise that we made. And if you deliver on your promise and you're still willing to get your hands dirty and carry boxes and set up an exhibition stand, I think however bad, and the last 5 years have been brutal in business, you lead the way, others will follow. Yeah. The minute you become, I've got my own car parking place and you're not approachable and you're not fair, and I believe I live and die by precedents, right? You set a precedence, that's the rule. You don't have exceptions outside the rule unless in an exceptional, and there will always be exceptions, right? But as a company, fairness is critical. If you're seen to be a fair and reasonable human being, and now I shoot myself in the foot because I employ lots of part-time people and it drives me bloody nuts when I can't ring them because I know they don't work that afternoon, but I know that I get back in spades of loyalty what others don't get.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is, it's like it's having the belief in someone and giving them some, like, the responsibility.
Trust.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm blessed with having a fabulous team who've been with me for years and years and years. But the thing is that, like, I can see them ever growing, kind of thing. And
but if you don't, right, there's this stupid British thing, if I train them, they'll go. No, you idiot. Yeah. If you educate and share new challenges, they'll stay and add value to your shareholding. So what are you doing to educate, invest, grow, ensure that somebody's role is interesting and challenging and they're not standing still? Yeah. Because that human nature, who drives to work and goes, I really want to anger someone today? Like, that's just mad.
Yeah.
I don't drive to work and go, who can I upset?
Yeah.
That's just idiotic.
It's been proven time and time again, though, hasn't it, as well, that someone, the main drivers for work is that they, like, want to feel
it's not
part
about the
of
money.
Something. No.
Right? What are we growing? And of course,
I'm
in a privileged position 17 years after selling a soap supply company with no knowledge and no clue that it was going to basically be a soap supply company to posh hotels with beautiful brands and much more than that. I also sold, anything that was nickable in a room. But the truth is that I didn't understand purpose then. I didn't understand business.
Yeah.
My vision was to be able to pay my children's school fees. That was the driver, the original driver, to be able to put a roof over our house. And if you like, the security that my father was unable to give us, that my mother gave us, because she was consistent. So consistency in everything has been really an important part of turning up and braving it out, and sometimes not doing bottom lip quiver and faking it till I make it is all part of the enterprise journey that I learned as a child. And as a lesson of, let's try it. Let's be brave enough, to turn all the chairs into the middle of the salon and have a party and do something differently.
Yeah.
And by the way, let's innovate the hours. So actually, madam, if you're coming between 3 and 4, we play this kind of music because it's calming. And between 4 and 5, it's heavy rock, because we know you're going to go and pick up the kids after school and you're going, get in, it's the only time. And why don't we change that in the salon environment? There are fitness centres adding bloody disco balls. There are coffee shops with DJs.
Yeah. I always like to say, your business, your rules. I think you can make it exactly.
But imagine
what
that it gets the customer talking. Now you've got self-promotion. Well, the net promoter score piece of somebody saying, that gymnasium is clean, or that mindful well-being balm has changed we've got 5,000 reviews on a sleep well balm unscented. And actually, I hate to say this in public recorded, but one of my team reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten. And that's where your culture, your trust, the education that you're giving these people is going to stand you in good stead so that you can switch off on holiday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you got A-grade players? There's a brilliant book by Jim Collins, which has been kind of forgotten because I'm so old. And it's Good to Great,
Yes.
right? And he talks about the hedgehog principle, which I can bore you witless. But ultimately, you have to have your nugget of what is your culture, your business, your attitude, your values, your mission, your purpose. We didn't do purpose in the old days. Now everything I do is drilled into trying to improve the world's health. There's an ambition. Because I've only got one engine, this is it, the body, and apparently it's got a lifetime, right? And I'm going to try and extend the hell out of mine so I can still get my seatbelt on when I'm 127, right?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Right. So if we can, I'm not particularly religious, but if you do unto others as you would have done unto yourself,
yeah,
actually that makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Are you doing that? Can you reflect on your day and say, I cared about someone else the way I would like to be cared for?
Yeah. And
right.
That's all it's about, isn't it?
Right.
Really?
And it doesn't require religion to do it. It requires effort. Can we do it for free? Yes. It's what we say, how we look, what we do behaviorally, and your physical decision to turn up with an attitude, the right attitude. So I employ for attitude. I can teach aptitude.
I
know you would love that.
Yeah, I always think you can teach anyone anything apart from that attitude.
If they want to learn, they've got to want to learn.
Yeah. So I'm exactly.
And nothing is given.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The world doesn't owe you a living. It doesn't owe you a role because you've chosen to be X, and there are no jobs in X anymore because of AI. So actually, we need to teach our kids versatility as much as we can.
Yeah. Talking about versatility, obviously you invest in brands now.
Right. Or try and build them, but yeah.
So what's the process there? Do you go actively looking, or
no?
do they just fall
because
on
I'll be
your lap?
divorced. So I've been married for 30 years, which is my greatest triumph, because marriage is tough, right? And my poor husband shouldn't have but he asked my dad.
The same.
Right.
The thing is, like we were saying earlier, I'm sure he hasn't got a clue half the things that I'm up to. I'm like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And he's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
But Charlie was warned by my dad, no man alive should live with that woman. So he went in with his eyes open, okay?
I love it.
But, when I sold Pacific, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I invested in an e-commerce business, which was daft because I knew nothing about it. I'd sold B2B all my life. And then I gradually started to try and work out, actually, how can I genuinely put value into this world? Because that's been something has been one of my key pillars. Why do I want to put value into this world? Because the only people that are going to remember you are your kids. So I do everything is demonstrated around what I will be my legacy, inspiration for the younger generation. I genuinely believe that I can do good in the world because I've got nothing better to do with my time. Why wouldn't I do good?
Yeah.
Isn't that
you're
simple?
So passionate about it as well.
But 2 ears, 1 mouth, more learning. I love learning, but I like teaching. That came from my mum. So I've tried to write down the things and genuinely get a piece of paper and an old-fashioned pencil or pen, whatever you prefer, and write down the things you love doing is an enormous privilege at the age of 40 as you're working out what the rest of your life could be like, because you don't have to worry about the grocery bill or the supermarket bill in the UK. My husband will hate me for using the word grocery, so apologies, America. But we're British, so it's supermarket here. But the plan... And then double whammy, which I'm sure has a better meaning at business school, is I want to squeeze everything I can out of life. So I go for the double whammy effect. And so when I'm looking for business investments, one has to complement the other to accelerate the growth. I built Britain's 57th fastest growing company. I didn't even know it. That's not what my goal was. My goal was to be the best we could be. My goal wasn't to be global, but we became the #1 leading luxury provider of 5-star hotels worldwide with an amazing team without whom I was toast, right?
Yeah.
And without any team, you cannot grow globally. You are toast. And, you know, sometimes I put it on a presentation, literally a piece of toast, and go, this is what I would be without my team. Dawn invented that. So the people, the process, the passion is infectious, but only if you bring your energy. And I've learned so much about investment, and people, there is never the same person. So I invested in a change robe brand called Dry Robe. And I just found that my level of work ethic far exceeded that of the person I invested in. So I sold out because I didn't want to fight about strategy. I didn't want to fight about how we treat people. I just, you know, wanted to do the right thing. I've invested in another brand where I find that I'm learning a painful lesson, an expensive lesson, because someone's morals are not the same as mine. And they're prepared to make promises around a product that isn't actually environmentally friendly, and I want nothing to do with it. So I'm probably going to lose my shirt there. So we make mistakes along the way, but the gift of those mistakes is we learn lessons. And my lesson is, and I've had amazing successes with people like Alistair at Gate 8 Luggage, who specializes in selling crew luggage, right? To make life easier when you travel. So you have chalk and cheese in relationships that you've invested in. And I've mainly had them find that they come at me for good reason. I believe in serendipity. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That gut feeling. And strategy is now a word I do know and I do understand. And I now actually use strategy. But strategy combined with gut is much more powerful than strategy on its own.
So how many brands are you involved with now, or how many companies?
So I have some arm's length investments, like an online platform called Better Space, because people do what they're rewarded to do. And in the corporate environment, we should be rewarding an achievement, and we should be rewarding it not according to a blancmange of, you know, dictated, I'm going to take you to Manchester United because I like football and you've done well. I may not support Manchester United. Literally, a friend of mine did that. He's an idiot. But he's changed his ways. You know, because you should actually say, what team do you support? And if you don't support a team, then what would you like to do with this sum?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd eat chocolate. So with whatever sum, if I could possibly do it and stay the same shape, but it's not possible. I've tried.
Cycle harder.
Yeah, exactly. So very disciplined about, now I don't really invest in newness, but there is a methodology in this marketplace where if you have an investment group, and we have Centered, which is about mindful well-being. So forget lip balm. Thank you. But idiotically took me 4.5 years longer to get to market because I was determined that the blends, and this is my massive passion project because I want to affect mindset with a therapy that's natural, and that is a pocket-sized balm that a child can have as in a pencil case, because then they can think, I can, I will, not I won't, I shall, not I shan't. And what's the worst thing that can happen? And if we could teach children to be a bit braver and a bit more ambitious, and maybe reduce bullying, or have a construct around dealing with the social media challenges, that's my big gift that I would love to feel that I can change the world of mental health. But I also have an investment in an outdoor brilliant waterproof base bag called Kit Bricks.
That's brilliant.
And literally, but I invested in a military guy because he had got fed up of wasting stuff, military stuff that we as taxpayers buy because it's badly engineered. I mean, how stupid's that? So he comes out of the military, approaches me at an enterprise event and goes, I've got an idea. And I'm like, I like your idea. I'm a mum juggling kids playing hockey and doing gymnastics and frankly going to the swimming pool because we need to learn to swim. Thinking, oh my God, a waterproof base bag. I love you. And by the way, separating wet from dry, I now double love you. Have my money, right? And then I invested in originally Dry Robe, but I've sort of super eclipsed, because moving a product on and hearing the customer and doing it better is really critical. So we've now got a brand called Parker in America, which is PARCCA. And it's a warming robe. And yes, you can change inside it, but America doesn't need the changing robe because they've all got bloody good changing rooms and amazing sports facilities, and I am jealous as hell. But they do need a warming.
Going to come to the UK?
I hope so. America's a big place, and it's again me setting a new challenge where I want to build a business straight away. But I've tried and tested it on our little island.
Yeah,
it's going very well. And as I say, I have arm's length, gate 8, and I'm now investing in a sleep brand, because actually when I reflect on everything, the thing that I'm learning about health and longevity is sleep is the key to great performance, whether it's sporting performance or just a great day ahead. So Somo is the Rest Easy Fitness Mask, which is, I just can't tell you how comfortable it is. Would I have ever worn a sleep mask in the past? No. Has it just improved my flight from China off the scales? Yes. And, in this case, we're exchanging shares for expertise because my network will sell their product.
Yeah. And I've just tried it. It's amazing.
I know. You don't bugger up your makeup. It's adjustable so it fits whatever head shape. It's comfortable so it's got no stupid thing on the back, and I can sleep. So this brilliant engineering, right? And the brilliant, and so I guess I love great engineered product. I've learned that not all people are the same, but I will always invest in a character of a person. I love niche, niche and expertise. Infectious with the determination to do better with a product, because the world doesn't need a new bag, right? It didn't need a new bag, but it does need to stop buying bags that don't have a waterproof base, which I've now obviously trademarked, because actually the biggest challenge of Kitbricks is our bags last so long. But I'm deeply proud of that, because everything I do now has an underpinning of what's its sustainable construction. Refillable, repurposable, reusable, much better than recyclable. Recyclable is the end. It's when you can't do circularity. And I've become a bit of a junkie, because after all, I am responsible for creating the plastic ocean, having sold over 100 million shampoos. I've got a lot of making up to do, Susan. Yeah.
Talking about making up, obviously, I mean, I could talk to you all day, and I just wish I could. And you're constantly giving back. What lights you up more, giving back or and giving your entrepreneurial spirit and
positivity?
Yeah,
right? Positivity can be infection, and how who am I to? My mother used to hand a chocolate biscuit to the guy at the end of the tunnel in Hong Kong, as opposed to handing over the $10 note to see if he'd smile, because she was trying to bring a smile to everybody's day, right? That is a behavioural thing that means that I behave differently in a coffee shop. Right? I want to make that person's day.
Yeah.
Right? And if I can do that, and I'm not perfect, because sometimes I'm tired, and dare I say it, even I get grumpy, but I try not to, right? I really tried in a disciplined way to live a positive life. And I know that if my effort is my own, gives my positivity, and my go away is I quietly smile to myself knowing I scored. It's ridiculous, I know, but it's an emotional bank account that's in my head and my vision. And if that's my goal in life, and I can bring a bit of positivity, and of course some people will let you down, but don't let it get you down, right? Then I'm having a better day than the average person. And the one thing I am not going to be is average, right? So positivity combined with trying to bring kindness. I want to inspire people to have exchanges, because a problem shared is a problem halved. Centered is there to do that. Centered is to embed better habit. Yeah. So I invest in things that meaningfully what's the most valuable commodity in the world? Time. So going back to a proper answer on my investment group is, if it saves time or improves life because it allows a better quality of existence, then I'm going to buy in. Yeah. That's how I live and breathe. So I actually want to change what they call the register or the till point or the checkout with a healthy product, as opposed to sweetie crap with Centered. That's the big goal. And actually we're starting to make progress in America on that, which is really exciting. And again, that's through product, I bring positivity, but I actually affect the health of the nation. So everything within the group is about a healthy outcome, because what else can I do? I just want to represent something that's meaningful and achieve something.
And if I was to ask you, what would be either one of the biggest life lessons you've had, or what you would give someone as your best piece of advice, what would you say?
So the hypocrite in me is today, because I can't control where every single penny is across the group, and because when we went into COVID it became a shit show. We've overinvested in some companies, which is difficult, but we'll sell our way through. We've got great brands, great products, momentum's good, finally. But so my advice is always, you have to know where your money is. Right, because you're also putting the trust of other people into your responsibility. And I always used to think, I'm paying your mortgage, Susan.
Yeah.
If I employ you, I am responsible for the roof over your head. And if you can visualize that, that's pretty motivational. But I think do your best, right? And a message maybe within do your best is, I have learned this trust mechanism by understanding that by letting someone else make mistakes and not berate, make mistakes and celebrate the learning, by going quick to make mistakes to save time, because I'm not going to be perfect every time, but by encouraging others to push the boundaries and be outside their comfort zones, we go further faster.
Yes.
And I get reward out of seeing people grow, learn and flourish. So, we employed a shelf stacker who turned into head of global customer service. How cool is that?
Amazing.
Right. And she was on $8,000 and ended up on $88,000 in a short window. But she hid under the table when she didn't want to answer the phone the first time. So you take someone on that journey, that makes you very proud. Yeah. I'm lucky to say that I've got people who have worked with me who've gone and set up their own businesses, like James at the Bigger Ball, who sells, sustainable teas for golf. But his passion's golf, and he's doing fine. Those things are hugely joyful. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Because putting back to get out, I guess, will ultimately, says the commercial bitch from hell in me, is I'm going to win. Right. But that's the reality. I'm not hiding from the fact.
The fact that it's like, it's yes, money is one thing, but
the joy of it, the journey of it. And actually, of course, I'm 58 next week. And of course, I'm thinking about the journey because, Jesus, I've been around a while now. And I never used to respect the value of experience, but I've now learned. And of course, now I am the experienced one to some extent. I've got lots to learn still. But that I was an idiot not listening enough, probably, to go further faster to those with experience when I was younger. Yeah. So the one thing, I guess, is never be afraid to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get, is actually the answer to your question.
Yeah. And going back to what you were saying, I think then it's surrounding yourself with the right people, isn't it, as well?
Without them, you're toast, like I said. And by the way, that's hard. Employing people's hard. But how many people have trained and practiced recruitment? Very few, right? Yeah, recruiters don't do the interviews. We do the interviews, and we don't have any training. So you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're going, oh my God, I hope I get lucky here. Yeah. And then you need to learn that there are better ways.
So what is next? I mean, I know that
I'm divorced probably if I invest in something else, but hopefully not. What is next? I live as a digital nomad, which is enormously exciting. We've been doing that for 2.5 years because lots of my friends were saying, the kids are coming home, they're living at home. I'm like, sell the home. I've sold the home, right? They can't come home if you don't. Anyway, so that's a bit ridiculous because we have a flat in London. But I have sold the manor. I will. The theory is I'll buy another one at some stage when I need it. And I don't think I need it at all. So my husband's trying to convince me.
It's going back to what we were saying earlier, isn't it? It's like to me and to you, it's more about experiences.
Cut your coat according to your cloth, right? Experiences and memories are far more valuable than I wear the same jewelry I have done for flipping decades. I'm not interested. My watch was my 21st year. Dare I say it, 21st birthday present. It's never changed. It's been on my arm every day. I'm not very materialistic. I want to lead by example, put back into the world. And it sounds very, I say it and I say, bleh, but I think you'll get the idea that I'm having a fun existence. And so what's next is continuing the journey and hoping to encourage people to self-educate, self-motivate, be disciplined, make some of the sacrifices. Because what I will say is it isn't easy and there will be horrendous holes along the way. But you've got to kind of go, what's the worst thing happen, and dive on in and swim on through, or go under or round.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've absolutely loved this. And I know, obviously, I'm getting you back for a second episode where we're going to delve into far more. This has been absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's so much out in the press and things about where's the best place for someone to learn more about you, because
so laramorgan.co.uk
and everything, isn't there?
I haven't looked at this website for too long, but there is a laramorgan.co.uk website, which reminds me I must make a note to self to refresh.
I've been on there. It's still good.
Thank you.
Still good.
I do some very limited public speaking, which I love to do. And, you know, we try hard. I have an amazing team of people, of course. Some have worked for me for 3 decades, which is the privilege of privileges.
Yeah, and that's testament to you.
And we try to keep up with trying to help and put back. But equally, you know, like I said earlier, I'm not an expert in any fields anymore. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades and master of none. But what I do know is if I was to advise any young person that might listen, or any person thinking about setting up a business, is get a mentor who's been in your place or has experience in your sector, milk them for all they're worth for 2 years, spit them out and find another one.
But this is the thing, though, because at different stages in business, you need different people.
Correct. If you need a marketing expert, phone someone up, bribe them with whatever they need. Yeah. In the old days, it was a bottle of wine and a decent meal. I don't know if that applies anymore, but I still do it.
Yeah.
Because you always, you know, do you mind if I pick your brains? I literally wrote to someone this morning and said, do you mind if I pick your brains in the car on the way back? And he's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Because if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
So that maybe is a gift to the audience who are wondering, because 54% of people in Britain think they'd like to start a company and they never do. So kudos to the ones that do.
Yeah.
And also, you know, invest in companies and brands with a purpose that are genuinely making a difference. Partner the right companies. That's what I would ask.
Yeah, and I think that's it. If you, with a business, it's got to resonate with you. It's got to be that it lights you up.
Like you said, you're not going to stop. I'm not going to stop.
No.
But I'm also going to fit in my cycling and my visiting of places and my ridiculous experiences, because I wouldn't change.
But as well, and that's when the great ideas come, isn't it? You know, it's when
great
you're
breaks, great sleep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Proper breaks. None of the social rubbish, none of the scrolling. Yeah. Get a good night's sleep, get another good night's sleep. It matters. Well,
if your experience of cycling across India is like mine, you can't get social media or anything. It's
a magnificent way to switch off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lara, I cannot thank you enough.
Most welcome.
And this has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.